Taylor, how
How
you
are you?
doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for your time. And wow, first off, you did such an extraordinary job as Boogie. This film really hit me hard. And I want to say, never mind the story of this movie. Your life is a movie. I can't even believe what happened. Okay, so I know what happened. You know what happened. Tell everybody you were Eddie's personal assistant, and bang,
Correct.
now you're the lead of his film. Come on.
Correct. Yes, life has been very much of a movie as of late. But yeah, I met Eddie through a basketball league in San Gabriel Valley here in LA.
Yeah.
Through a mutual friend, and it's just ironic because basketball has been this meeting ground for me. It's moved itself away from like a competitive sport, and I love to compete and always will. But it's been kind of this meeting ground for me to foster relationship and build bonds with people. And I didn't think I'd ever meet Eddie through basketball, but I met him. He invited me to cook a couple of events with him.
Yeah.
And we cooked a Crazy Rich Asians DVD release party. It was the first thing I did with him. The second was like a friend's, it was his friend's kind of boutique store here in LA, and they're throwing a holiday party. And he was like, I want something different. We usually go out and just rent a space out and everyone gets drunk and then we all go home. He's like, I want something different. And so Eddie brought his parents in and he brought me in, and we cooked a Taiwanese menu. And it was like kind of the first time I really got to like hang with his parents and learn more about the food and technique of what we were doing. And I think it was his mom after that told Eddie and was like, Eddie, like this kid listens to everything you're telling him to do. He doesn't have like an ego in the kitchen.
Right.
And he's very Japanese in that sense, and that he's just going to like listen and repeat the work without having to question a lot of the stuff. And so that led him to asking me like, hey, have you ever thought about working in the entertainment industry? And I answered honestly and was like, Eddie, no, I've never thought about that, and I don't want to think about that really. I see a lot of stress on there, but like I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And so he had asked me to be his personal assistant at the beginning of 2019. And so from Orange County to LA, was living in Koreatown, was trying to figure out, life in LA. And this movie had been something he had given me from day one, and was just like, I don't care if we do anything else this year. Like, I just want to make this movie. It's been a dream of mine. It's the script is slowly starting to come together. When I got it first, it was like 135 pages. It ended up at like 92. So just to see how this thing kind of comes together was amazing. And so we get the green light meeting in June of 2019. And then by July of 2019, him and I moved to New York together. I'm still his assistant. And 3 weeks left of pre-production, he meets me at the office, and he didn't tell me anything beforehand. He just met me at the door, which like I love Eddie, never met me at any door to greet me. And so he asked me for my phone and my laptop. I'm just like, no distractions today, like none. And I was like, well, that's my job, is to be on the computer and on the phone. So like, what do you want me to do then? He's like, I want you to remember this scene. And so he gave me scene 44, which is myself and my dad, Mr. Chin, sitting on the couch watching a Chang Lendl tennis match.
Right.
It was like, take as much time as you need, and we're going to give this a go. And so I was like, I don't really feel pressure because, A, I'm not an actor, and like B, I've never thought about this. So like, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to try my best. This is kind of what I've been taught to do in life, is just try your best. Try my best, and I'll see what happens from there. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, like, give me my laptop back. I can type stuff, right? Like, I'm good.
Yeah, you won't take any offense. Like
I fully felt like I feel no pressure at this moment to do, like, you've asked me to do it. It's not like I came to you and was like, hey, I've been thinking about it. I think it'd be a good idea. It was all just very organic. And so in our line producer's office on his couch, we recorded that scene. He sent it into the studio. I believe that was a Thursday. He sent it in with a couple words of encouragement and his why. I had the weekend to like really think about it and figure out if this is something I wanted to do. So it was a lot of phone calls to back home, to family and to friends, and just, this is what's in front of me. Can I do it? And they're like, man, like, we don't know much about it, but from what you're telling us, this is kind of you. And if you don't do it, like, I think you regret it. And so by that Monday, I had 3 weeks to become Boogie. So it was very much take a couple swimming lessons and throw you in the deep end. But I had all the support I needed from everyone, from director to fellow actors to producers. Everyone was just there to support, and I felt very, very, very fortunate to have that throughout the entire process.
Yeah, and to me, you know, watching you on screen, I didn't even know any of this of your story before I I watched the movie Cold, and I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. Like, where did he find it?
Wow.
Then I started to look, and I'm like, holy crap, like what a story, right? But then I was thinking, I go, you know, I'm sure there was a lot of elements of Boogie that you did relate to, the basketball and all that, but also the Asian culture. And what really struck me in this film too is how the two parents were so different in their approach of what they wanted for him, you know? Can you talk about that a little bit? Because you know, being a mom myself, you're right, you always have conflict with the other parent or whatever. Most, you know, you agree, but on this level, it was fascinating to watch and how he was pulled between the two parents, you know?
Yeah, and it's just, you know, the movie's journey is basically, we use basketball as the vessel to have people relate to it, but you know, it's very much, you know, dad has his way and how he wants to do it's kind of like the old, probably like not as good version way, but it's like, this is what I know, this is old school, this is how we're going to get it done. And mom is a little bit more like, she's a little bit smarter, she's a little bit like, hey, you know, guys, like that may not work, and if that doesn't work, what are we going to do then? And you know, I think both know that a lot of the security lands in Boogie's hands, and it's just what he decides to do when he wants to do. And so you kind of have that, very much that push and that pull. And in the meantime, you're kind of sitting there, and as a kid, you're like, well, I want to make my parents happy. That's essentially what I want, is to make my parents happy and be proud of me. But how can I fulfill this one? How can I fulfill this one? And how can I fulfill my own as well too? And so it's very much that tug. And so, you know, mom has kind of gone her way in finding Melvin and figuring out like, hey, this is our ticket out. Basically, we don't have to, you know, for this moment, maybe this year or next 2 years, or we don't have to figure anything out. Like that takes care of it. We're out of debt. We're out of everything. This kind of solves our problems. But it's her knowing that, you know, hey, this probably isn't what Boogie wants. Probably isn't what Alfred wants. This is what I'm manufacturing for him. Well, you know, he wants a scholarship to Georgetown, to St. John's, to any of these top, you know, D1 schools. You know, I'm thinking about financially, how am I going to take care of this? And so dad is like, if we stick to our plan, we've transferred schools, we're playing in this league, we're doing very well. You just have to beat the top guy. You beat the top guy, that'll earn you your respect. Once you earn that respect, the schools will start calling. The schools will start calling, and so that's kind of the buildup of the whole movie. Is like, we finally have to play Monk. We finally have to play Monk. It obviously doesn't get to happen, but it's very much trying to navigate, like I said, your parents' dreams and wishes for you, and what they see for you, and what you see for yourself. And it's really that balance factor that you're trying to go through and navigate. And it's tough because as a kid, you want to fulfill your parents, but you also like, you want to shoot your own shot, and you want to be able to, you know, accomplish stuff that maybe they didn't see coming, or maybe they didn't plan for, and being open to that.
Yeah, last I want to ask you, you know, you got to hand it to Eddie. He really is such a talent. He's unbelievable. You know, I love watching Fresh Off the Boat, and I, you know, but it was a sitcom. You know, they had to, it was on, you know, a big network. And then you look at films like, you know, Crazy Rich Asians, and all these things that are coming out. And but again, Crazy Rich Asians, fun to watch, but can we all relate to it? No, you know, something like Boogie, I think really hits to the core of a lot of people can really relate. And especially, you know, Taylor, with what's going on right now, with prejudice and racism against Asians and Blacks and Jews and everything that is going on right now. How are you feeling, and what do you want people to take after coming out and seeing this film?
My main thing for people after watching this movie is, it's kind of, I mean, it's not what I learned, but it just solidified it for me as a human being, is that, you know, there are a lot of things that pull us in different directions as a race, as people, as female and male. Like, there's so many things that pull us apart from each other. And for me, it's to see and realize that it's very much what like Boogie and Eleanor's conversations. And it's, you know, Eleanor hits him with like, I have these problems as well too. I'm just not weak like you and have to wear it on your sleeve every single time, right? And so it's to show people that we are very much more similar to each other than we are different. And although we may look different, we might have different shades of skin, we might come from different backgrounds, we might practice our beliefs in different ways. A lot of the beliefs are very similar to each other. And it's to understand that, you know, instead of pulling each other apart and spending so much time figuring out how different we are from each other, it's if we actually spend half of that time and figure out why we're similar to each other, we'll come to a lot more of a solidarity as people, really. And, you know, all these crimes on, you know, it's been Asian people in the moment, but it's just all people of color throughout this entire time period. It's just it doesn't make much sense to me. It seems like very much common sense to just treat people with respect, treat people the way you want to be treated. It's like what you learn in first grade, and it's like how that basic lesson doesn't stick is astonishing to me. But it's, you know, it's finding your voice. It's being aware with your surroundings and to protect yourself at all times. But like no one can prep you for someone running down the street that's just going to cold clock you when you're not looking. Like you can't really do anything about that. And the response to that also dually can't be, you know, hey, I'm just going to go start knocking people out. Like that's just, it's not going to fix anything.
No.
And so I think the rallies that are happening, the awareness that's being spread, you know, we're kind of moving into that action phase. And so I hope that, you know, the awareness continues to kind of blend with that action portion. You know, solidarity wise, we could come up with not like a central universal thing that we're all going to say, but just, you know, we're all kind of preaching that same message, and hitting that same note, in all different sectors of the communities that we're involved in, you know, from East Coast to West Coast to wherever we are, and just being able to come together as people, fight this thing together, and do the good fight with each other. And, you know, we're going to look up to those who have been doing it, and hope that we can, you know, for me, myself, like I started, you know, in 2018 and be rolling into 2019 and 2020 was just continue to educate yourself. And like, I can't watch a lot of the videos. Like they make me really, really sad and like upset. I read about them, and I, you know, I have conversations within my own group and community of people. And it's just, you know, it's starting there, for yourself. And it doesn't have to be, there's always levels, but it doesn't have to be, you have to go grab a microphone and walk down the street and start saying stuff. If you're not comfortable with that, it's fine. But I think the times of kind of kowtowing or looking the other way, and, you know, as an Asian culture, that's kind of what it's not necessarily what we're taught, but it's just out of a respect factor. We're like, we don't want to cause any more commotion. We don't want to cause any more like violence. We're going to look the other way. We're going to let this one pass. And I think now is the time where it's like, there's been so much buildup of that like that can't happen anymore. And, you know, looking the other way, finding your voice, like that has to start happening, in all communities. And so I hope it does.
Well said. Well, you're an amazing young man, I have to say. It's been awesome to
Thank you so much
today, Taylor. Best of luck with everything, and I can't wait for your next role. I can't wait. You're a really great kid, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.